Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Jared Lee, and I'm joined, as usual, by my lovely wife, Jamie Lee. So, Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Jared. How are you?
I'm doing well. Doing well. Hopefully, everybody had a really nice Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Well, for you, it's happy Christmas kickoff because it's post-Halloween now.
Right. And tonight, for us, because we're recording this on Sunday night, it is, it's daylight savings time. It ends. Or it begins. Does it begin or does it end?
It started today.
So it starts.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just noticed
fallback starts.
Yeah.
Spring forward.
I hate, not to get a whole thing of it. I hate that it gets dark at 5. It is, nobody looks forward to that. I would like to get rid of it, but yeah, Halloween in Florida is wild. I've talked about this before, but we were walking around in part of the neighborhood, and I was walking with our daughter's friend, her dad, and so we were just walking the girls around. And there's a house that some of these houses will do this. First off, they'll give out full size candy bars. Mm-hmm. There was like 7 houses that did this. I'm like, how does that not break your economy? And then we go to this one house, and they just got a whole thing set up, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, you guys want anything?" They had like a full bar set up, and so we're just like, I mean, I guess. And they had like an old fashioned and walking around.
That's
like,
awesome.
It's not a bad way. And then on the way back, people had Jello shots asking. I mean, you could have really had yourself a nice evening if you would have liked. And I was just like, well, I'll just hang out. But it was nice. It was on a Friday, so it seemed more relaxed and things like that. But
no, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, girls had a lot of fun. Our son was the solar system, and our daughter was, is it roomy or roomy?
Roomy.
Okay, I should know that, but
like this couch is so roomy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes, they all 3 of her and her little friends went as the entire group, and they were a big hit. Some kid gave her they're like some sort of roomies that just gave it to her because he said that she looked like Roomy, and I was like, well, okay,
thanks, bro.
And I think he was flirting with her, and so I kept my eye on him the whole night.
Okay. Okay, Jared.
Just saying, you can't start too soon about these things. But no, today we do have some things. We were going to talk about this last week, and the episode would have been about 2 hours long. Right. So we decided to have an entire episode here talking about the Epic Universe tickets that are going to be, how they're changing in 2026, what APs look like, and then maybe some predictions that we'll have about the park in the coming years of what this might end up looking like, how things are looking, and things that I've heard. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And if you happen to hear some children playing, our kids are in the other room. They insisted being upstairs with us. So if you hear them, it's just some nice background noise.
Just kid chatter.
Yeah. In case you're wondering what kind of tight ship we run around here. No, it's
Listen,
fun.
It was a struggle. It was a struggle to get this recorded. So we're just going to go.
There were some deals and compromises made. It's all right. Anyways, there's toys had somewhere and having fun. But before we get to the news, just want to remind everybody, if you're watching us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you wouldn't mind. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, so we're getting close. And of course, if you didn't know we had video versions of the show, you can find us on YouTube at CTM Podcast. And of course, you're listening on good old trusty audio podcast form. You can find us on all of the major platforms that I'm aware of. We're on all those, and just ask you to please subscribe. And if you're able to leave us a review, we'd greatly appreciate that. Helps us continue to grow the show and do what we do. So
that's right.
All right, well, let's get into the news. So like we talked about, this was last week, but tickets have been released from Universal for purchase through the end of 2026 for basically all of Universal Orlando, including Epic Universe.
Yes.
And there are some changes taking place in 2026 when it comes to Epic Universe tickets and packages and things like that.
So you can still buy single day tickets for Epic. And that hasn't changed, and that APs can buy discounted single day tickets as well. What they have included is park hopping for Epic and Volcano Bay and Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida. So you can now buy a 4-park hopper ticket, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And it can do this in many iterations of days, 3, 4, 5 days. And the prices aren't terrible. So just looking at a 3-day park to park for all 4 parks, it starts at $153 per day for adults. And that's all 4 parks. That Volcano Bay is included in that. If you take out Volcano Bay, it's $118 per day.
Okay.
So honestly, that's really not that bad.
No,
that's really not that bad. And you get all, like I said, all 4 parks. If you do a 4-day, it's $124 per day. And again, that's for all 4 parks. And then $105 per day if you do a 5-day ticket.
Okay.
So we were really hoping that they would include this in the park to park ticket package that they have. So I'm not surprised that it's included because they were testing it a little bit.
Well,
with some people.
they'd also said previously it was going to be available for 2026. They just hadn't
Right.
actually like released it yet.
Right, exactly. And so these prices like really are not that bad. And to be able to go from like Epic in the morning and then to another park later at night, I think is really it's gonna feel better, I guess, for the customer to be able to like they're getting more like bang for their buck with their tickets now.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously, in case we weren't super clear, you can park hop to and from Epic Universe on every single day of these ticket packages now.
Right,
it's available too. So
and they do have one park per day ticket packages of all 4 parks as well.
Right.
But we wanted to put this park hopping in, like emphasize that because that was something that people really wanted.
Yeah, because previously, if you bought like 3 days included Epic, it only every single ticket package included 1 day at Epic. No matter if it was 3 days, 4 days, or if you did the international one, it was like 14 days. It was still 1 day at Epic Universe. So there's also a new international ticket package or option available that has like up to 14 days. That every single day of that package can also include Epic Universe. So
that's crazy.
Things are definitely loosening up in that direction, which I think is good. Which will be interesting to see how the park responds to this, because right now, a lot of times later on in the evening, sometimes the wait times go down because people leave. And obviously you don't have an influx of people coming in. So obviously you'd have less people in the evening, theoretically, than you would have earlier in the day. Yeah. So I think that will be interesting at that park. And of course, the big question is going to be annual passes, because that's something a lot of people have questions about. They did not release annual pass options. And at this point, I don't think you see them until 2027 at least. It could be even further out than that, to be quite honest.
So something I've heard about over the past couple of days that people were trying to do, they are not allowing people to renew for the 3 park annual pass.
Yes, I knew they'd pause that.
And so I'm guessing they're figuring that out, like reconfiguring that, and that's why.
I'm wondering if that has anything to do with Volcano Bay going seasonal in 2026 later on.
Okay, maybe, but that doesn't happen for another year.
But they may be pausing the renewals because that will affect it later on that year. Is kind of my guess there.
Yeah.
I think when you're talking about looking for an annual pass option at Epic, this new way they're doing the packages and the ticket options is a step in that direction.
Sure.
Because you're not going to go from no park hopping to all of a sudden having annual passes. And obviously the issue with this park is the high wait times.
Right.
And this park is still under a park capacity limit.
Right.
So honestly, I mean, if you look at how many people would come in under annual passes, you're probably adding anywhere from 4 to 9, maybe even higher, 1,000, 9,000, 10,000 people in that park per day, potentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you did that in that park right now, I mean, the wait times would just be even higher. So
yeah.
Until they get this stuff ironed out, and they said in the earnings call that they're looking. They even had said themselves, it's the first time I've heard them admit it, that they are looking to increase the capacity of this park. They're looking to make the rides more operational. Maybe they feel that there is still enough room to be made up on these rides, becoming more reliable, having more capacity in those rides. Maybe they feel that there's still enough there that they can improve this, which when they seem to think that. Also, I have been told by some team members that they are going to be adding more entertainment options. I don't know in terms of what that means. Obviously, the storytellers in those aspects that we're going to have in like Celestial Park have not been there.
I think that would be a great thing to have.
I agree. There's also the fireworks show that is still being worked on. So there's things that I believe they are working on to help alleviate this issue. So until you get these wait times down, you're not going to see APs added to this.
Right.
So I think that this is a step in the right direction. But again, if I'm predicting this, which I don't have any sort of information on this, just looking at this from the outside looking in, until something changes, until they make a breakthrough on wait times, I'm just going to say 2027 and maybe even the potential, 2028. I mean, it just really depends on these wait times. And even if they announce something else is coming to this park, I mean, it still has to be built. So you're looking at years for that to happen. So in the short term, they're obviously prioritizing people that are paying for packages, that are coming here for week-long vacations, and the annual pass holders are just going to have to be patient. Yeah. I know people don't like to hear that. I get it, though. From a business standpoint, I understand that. But they do want annual passes in here because obviously that's more money for them. That's more people coming to the park. But until they can handle it, balancing that with guest satisfaction, that's where all this kind of comes into play. Maybe you can do on those cashy websites like take bets. I wonder if you can place a bet on when annual passes would be, because I would take a strong bet at 2027 at this point.
I mean, it's very possible they might do it earlier, but given all the things that we talked about with attendance and getting the rides and stuff going like more consistently, I don't see it.
My luck, I would place a bet and it would be like December 21st. And they'd be like, hey, annual passes like in December 2026. I'd be like, no, are you kidding me? That would be my luck. But so I probably won't be placing a bet.
Looking into 2026 and the ticket options, there's also the Express Pass. Now, Epic still does not have an unlimited Express Pass option. It's still just a regular Express. So one attraction per day. Basically, you can do. So just FYI on that. If you're gonna buy that, do it sooner rather than later, because it is what's the word? I always forget it. It's
surge pricing.
No, yeah, I guess it's flexible.
It's cheaper the earlier you buy it. Basically.
Yeah. So the closer you get to your date, the more expensive it'll be.
And it can sell out.
It can sell out. Yes. But is it worth it? I mean, if you want to buy it, then yes, I would say go.
That is a question I get a lot from people that are going to Epic.
I always say yes.
They'll say, is it where I'm like, if it's in your budget, you probably won't regret getting it.
If you got one day, I would do it.
Yeah, if you have multiple days, like you could make an argument, you could spread that out and not do it. But if it's in your budget, if you're willing to pay for more time, I suppose that you don't have to wait in lines, I think it'd be worth it. And you do have the potential at some point. They've been testing that single pass option as well.
Yeah,
you could see some of the attractions in Epic Universe have that in 2026. It's
true.
So there's a lot of things that obviously you can't predict about this because it's still, like I say, in a beta testing mode. This park's barely 6 months old at this point. So I think, and surprisingly enough, they haven't actually raised prices yet.
What do you mean?
They haven't raised. Universal hasn't raised prices after Disney raised theirs. They still might, but they haven't done an across the board ticket price raise, which I think the most expensive date Epic is still $199. I think that's around Christmas time in 2026. So as of now, the prices haven't changed.
Okay.
For that. So that's kind of how it looks on the ticket side of things going into 2026. But we're going to talk about some changes that are coming to Epic Universe that we do know that are confirmed.
Okay.
I would say within the next few years, at least, on that range of things. So I suppose the confirmed thing is there are new, and we talked about this before, new construction permits, Project 915, that have been filed for construction near the entrance of Super Nintendo World. This is a plot of land to the left of Super Nintendo World, kind of closer to the Kronos entrance. And this is likely for some sort of indoor place. I have heard some different things. I'm not going to be surprised if this actually ends up being some sort of corporate space.
Okay.
Maybe for team member break rooms or those corporate wise. It's going to be some sort of entertainment venue. We just don't know if it's going to be like an actual show for crowds or if this is going to be more for, corporate end of things.
Okay.
So that is unknown at this point, but that is confirmed. They also did build I guess you would just call it the site wall that they have near Stardust Racers. That has been completed over there by the water treatment plant.
Okay.
Which I don't really know what to read into that other than sightline issues of just dividing that off.
Okay.
And maybe that signals that plot of land, that is an expansion pad. That could be an area that they expand in the near future.
Okay.
But that has recently been completed. That was a mystery that was there a couple months ago. And we do know that Universal, they didn't really double the acreage. It's more of like they permitted area around Epic Universe for future development infrastructure growth. They did this months ago.
Okay.
And off of that, they are currently grading land near Epic Universe. Now, it depends on what you look at. Some have said that this is going to be for a future hotel.
Okay.
Also, it's about 50 acres. This also fits into, I've said this before, if you're going to build a kids resort.
Oh, that's right.
That one they're building in Frisco, Texas is 34 acres.
Could be.
Could be that. I think it's either a hotel or something along those lines, but they are going to be developing things around Epic Universe, and they are already, again, they've already started grading the land around this, so that is likely to start sometime in the near future, I think.
Okay.
So I don't know if I think there's a permit for the grading. There hasn't any other permits about exactly what that's going to be quite yet. And then, there are, of course, additional hotels. There is the City Walk 2.0 plans that are out there that have been rumored for a long time. I think that will eventually happen.
So okay. So let's say they do another City Walk type place. Would they have to build like parking garage and stuff also, because that would bring a lot of people in that are not guests of the resort?
I think eventually what happens is that current parking lot, at least part of it, becomes a parking garage.
Okay.
Because if you look overhead as well, you can see where part of that, they have an area there where if you got rid of the parking lot, it would free up a lot more space that you could use for, that's an area right there. You could put another park in there or something else. So I think eventually you will see a parking garage here because you're going to need more parking spots than you currently have.
Sure.
If you open up a City Walk.
Okay.
And there's also the rumor out there that Celestial Park itself would actually be like a free to enter, and then you'd have to have a ticket or your AP to get into the lands.
That was never confirmed.
That was never
just,
confirmed.
Yeah.
That's always been a rumor out there. I don't believe that. I just don't believe they're ever going to do that. There's nothing leads me to believe that that was ever anything that they seriously planned.
Yeah.
But I think that also went into people thinking about City Walk 2.0. But I do think they'll do the City Walk 2.0 because it makes a lot of sense to have your own City Walk on that side. You have the City Walk that's over at the original spot. Plus, you have the convention center not far away from Epic Universe itself.
That's true.
So you'd get a ton of foot traffic. Even people that didn't go to Epic, they would go to the City Walk to go to the restaurants and bars and all that stuff they'd have there. Now, I also do know that they have contracted a development firm, I guess you could say, that does specialize in indoor attractions.
Okay.
Nothing else in terms of what they're doing with that. I think this goes into future planning for stuff coming to Epic Universe, because one of the things that obviously is important about that is one thing this park needs are more indoor attractions, because when it rains, most of the rides here are going to shut down, which is obviously an issue with this park. So I do think they are developing more indoor attractions for the future. Mm-hmm. So that is something and a lot of these things that we've talked about and everybody talks about with Epic, like they're very aware of these things. And so I think
I would hope so.
from who I've talked to, they're aware of the weaknesses and listening to that stuff. So I think what this park is right now compared to what it'll be in 10 years, I think will be completely different. Mm-hmm. Like there'll be a lot more stuff in here, obviously. So this is like the beginning stages of, even though Epic is built and open, it's going to continue to evolve along with the other parts of Universal Orlando as well. Because obviously you got Rip Ride Rockets replacement, other stuff going in, there's obviously Lost Continent's going to have something. If the new coaster is a Fast and Furious coaster, that then probably frees up Supercharged, which has been rumored that could be Back to the Future or something else. So there's a lot of stuff I think that will be changing at Universal in the next 5 to 10 years, a bunch, even more than what we know right now. So it's going to be additional dining. So they do have now. Actually, this will open in 2026. There is a new restaurant that is going to open in Celestial Park that was just delayed. It was built toward the end of the construction of it. I believe it's going to be part Italian, like one side's Italian, one side's Mexican food, I believe.
That's the one that is right before you get to Isle of Berk, right?
Yes, that is the one where people walk up to when you're in the park constantly and they're confused because they don't know that it's not open. They finally put a sign up that said this is like pardon our celestial dust or something like that. But that is opening in 2026. We do know that. So there is more dining at least coming to Epic Universe in 2026. So that's all the things that basically at this point that we know that are coming, which is not much. Obviously, they haven't announced a lot of things that are going to for sure be coming to Epic Universe, but some of those you can read between the lines on. But we'll talk about real quick are expected things to be added. This is speculative in many ways, I guess you could say.
Speculation.
Yeah, this is the speculation section. And the big question and rumors out there about, okay, Mark Woodbury himself, the CEO of Universal Resorts, has said there are expansion plans for Epic Universe. Mm-hmm. Thus far, nothing has been officially announced, of course. I think these things will be announced sooner rather than later. I wouldn't be surprised within a year or 2 years you hear about new lands attractions coming to Epic. So the big questions there have been, what will these be?
I mean, Zelda?
I will tell you, Zelda is the thing that I have heard is going to be the first expansion to Epic that is coming to Super Nintendo World. There was rumors for a long time it going into Lost Continent, and from what I have heard, that Zelda has won over going with the Luigi's Mansion, which is another rumor that was out there.
Okay.
So internally, that's what I have heard. And if you look, that gift shop right out of Super Nintendo World is full of Zelda stuff in there.
Full of it.
And they've got it in the window. They've got it all over inside the store. So I think that's always been an Easter egg in many ways of Zelda is going to be coming to this land.
Yeah.
So I think that is probably, from what I've heard, that is the first expansion would be an addition onto Super Nintendo World. The other one I guess you could say is probably pretty strong in terms of prediction. I guess you could say of a new ride is it's been long rumored there's a Creature from the Black Lagoon ride.
Yeah. Okay.
That is that water coaster like it's a almost like a boat ride / coaster ride that they are actually building using that ride system in Dollywood, opening in 2026.
Okay.
A park in Europe called Europa or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. They use that ride system.
Is that one that has the fake spaceship Earth?
I think that is that
the
park.
same one?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that is that park.
So is this like, where would this be in Dark Universe?
There's an expansion pad to the right. I think it's to the right back in that land, which would be a water ride, which I think people would enjoy.
Yeah,
and that ride system looks pretty cool. I would be very on board for that. Obviously, one of them out there has been Ministry of Magic. Only has one ride in that land.
Yeah. So what do you think they would put in? They got to have something else.
They have space. Obviously, behind Battle of the Ministry, there is space back there. There's been the long rumor of that broomstick ride. That was now the original concept of that was a broomstick VR ride.
Oh, okay.
It didn't get off the ground because I don't think it would have been a very good ride.
Okay.
But I mean, if you look at like, I think people have always wanted some sort of like riding a broomstick type of ride.
Yeah.
If you look at what Disney's building with that Monsters Inc. ride, with the Doors ride, it's a very interesting ride system that you could see Universal take advantage of. And like you're riding on a broom on an indoor coaster.
Yeah.
That also solved the other issue of needing more indoor attractions and obviously getting something to relieve the pressure off of Battle of the Ministry.
Okay. That would be really cute. Put like brooms on the side of the coaster cars.
Yeah, or something. Like, or maybe it's like Flight of Passage where you're kind of sitting on a version of a broom.
Like that kind of ride?
I don't know. I'm just thinking.
Would be so
I haven't heard
cool.
anything in terms. This is a speculation of what they could do, but we do know their expansion plus all these things, and there's also areas where they can put in new portals as well.
Yeah.
So that's I think in terms of there is something that's going to come to Ministry of Magic. That's just kind of me speculating on what it could be.
Right. Isle of Berk. Is there going to be anything in Isle of Berk that you think?
I don't know. Isle of Berk is the biggest land in the park. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that one, I wouldn't assume that one's really high up on the list.
Okay.
You could expand it. I've always kind of thought, didn't you said something about like a Soarin' type attraction with like a dragon, like kind of like a Flight of Passage where you're riding an actual dragon.
I mean, that would be so cool. I would love that. That would make sense too.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to ride Toothless or some other dragon and go through it, I mean, I think that would be a home run.
I think it would be a good idea for them to do a type of attraction that keeps people moving through it, but like in it, if that makes sense. So like right now, everything is, on the outside. Basically, the outside of the park is where all the attractions are. And the Celestials inside, but like to get them like into an attraction where it's like a Flight of Passage ride, where you're like, okay, you're in the line, then you're in the pre-show, then you're in the other pre-show, then you're in the ride. You know what I mean?
Right,
so it's like it doesn't keep everybody so much like around, just walking around like aimlessly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, I think that would be a good idea for them to do, and if they could do something like Flight of Passage, I think that would be cool.
I mean, I think that it's almost tailor made for that land.
You would be flying
to do something like that
on a dragon.
Yeah,
that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so cool. Okay,
obviously
needs to happen.
That's just us armchair.
Yeah,
imagining things that could be, but I think you will see. I mean, you're gonna see stuff. I think you'll probably see things added to these lands before they develop a new portal, because if you do a new portal, that is going to take longer to build than adding an extension to an existing land. And obviously having the wait time issues in this park, speed, and that's one thing Universal has to their advantage, is they build very quickly. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a double whammy of like, you need to add things to Epic, and that could be entertainment options, that could be getting these rides better, but that could also just be, it might take you 2 years to add an extension. Mm-hmm. But it's going to take you, I don't know how long it would take to build a whole land. It could take longer. But they're also going to be adding new attractions into the existing parks to try and pull attention or pull demand away just from Epic.
Right.
So I think it's kind of a multifaceted approach here. And obviously, if you've been to Epic, they need to upgrade the existing parks. because it's quite a different experience. And I think
ya.
that's one thing that they are going to have to address is like bringing up the experience of the other parks to try and match that of Epic.
Yes, I agree. I think Islands needs a little bit of TLC.
I think both do, but Islands you could definitely make an argument for. And obviously, I think the big rumor out there is that Lost Continent, as of right now, is going to be Pokemon.
Okay.
Which I know you and I don't care much about.
Nah.
Pokemon's insanely huge.
Oh, I understand.
And
but if it's just me.
Oh, I agree.
Like I'm just like
I agree.
I'm good.
Although I would be very curious what they do with it.
Yeah.
And the stuff you could put in there. That was long rumored to go into where the Simpsons are, and I guess that's a question mark. And I am curious, we talked about the future of the park, where it's going. I am curious how many lands there will probably end up being. I know there's at least, I think, 2 portals. I mean, you're likely to end up with 7 lands in this park eventually.
Okay, so the question then, where would they go?
So you basically, there's expansion pads to the lands themselves, some more than others.
Yeah.
But there's basically 2 expansion pads that would likely be additional, I guess you could say, portals.
Okay.
At this point. And so you have one between Wizarding World and between How to Train Your Dragon, and then you have one between Super Nintendo World and Dark Universe.
Those are new portals or those add-ons?
Those would be new portals.
Oh,
likely.
okay.
Now, that's what it could be. I'm not saying that it will for sure happen, but the way that those are set up is those would extend into Celestial Park potentially.
Okay.
Of where you could see portals. That doesn't mean that maybe they take some of those, like the Wizarding World could eat up into those, or they could make changes to that, but that's where potentially you could look at that as to where there could be the expansion portals, I suppose you could say.
Okay. Interesting.
So if you look at that at this park, it would be, that would get, you got Celestial Park, you got the 4 other ones, that would give you 6 to 7 lands. And then I guess the big question, it's like you're talking about the attendance reports, like will Epic ever battle with, say, Magic Kingdom? I think potentially it could into the future. Once you have 7 lands and you have a double perhaps the amount of attractions in this park, then that might be a conversation.
Okay.
That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Now, where do you think, if you were to bet, or where do you think would you prefer the first expansion to be? Like, obviously, if we're going off the idea that the lands will get an expansion first before a new portal, which one would you like to see get an expansion first?
Either Dark Universe because it's smaller,
right, or
Harry Potter. Either of those 2 because they have the least amount. I feel like they have the least amount of attractions.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Universe definitely is it needs more stuff, and I think that go ahead.
Sorry, in Super Nintendo World and How to Train Your Dragon, they feel the most like fleshed out.
For sure,
those other 2, minus Celestial Park, the other 2 feel like they need more. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, and like I said, I've heard that Zelda will be the next thing to be built, but I could totally see an argument where you add in to Dark Universe first, and then Wizarding World, and then go into Super Nintendo World. Like I could, from a guest flow standpoint, I could also see that because Super Nintendo World is so busy. It is the busiest lane, and Nintendo is huge.
Right.
So I could totally see an idea behind doing that. But I kind of think what I would prefer, I think I actually would prefer Dark Universe to get an expansion first. Because I think I would like to see that ride system that's rumored for Dark Universe to come over there, that water coaster ride.
Yeah.
And then I'd be curious what they would do with the Wizarding World. And now I want to see Zelda, but you already have, realistically speaking, it kind of gets greedy. You're like, I want another Nintendo thing when you already have, you've got Donkey Kong Country and you have the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah.
So I want to see Zelda and I want to see more Nintendo stuff, but I totally can get and probably likely to see why some of these other ones would get an expansion first. But I think what's interesting is, again, I think you potentially could look at, there's various spots around Epic Universe that could end up having another park. Now, I don't know if that'd be I suppose you could expand Epic Universe potentially, or you may just go the route of having another park down the road, which I think could be the kids resort or something else. But they have a lot of flexibility, at least with this area of land that they have around here. And then it gets into as well, there's rumors that they could look at, there's Lockheed Martin that's nearby. If you look at the overall map of would Lockheed Martin move that facility potentially? Maybe they don't want it so close to a tourism place, given it, they do government contract work of making all that stuff. So there's areas around Epic where in the future they could also just buy up more land. Potentially, there's a lot of hurdles they'd have to get through. But yeah, I mean, I think in the coming years they're just going to have a lot more stuff here, and this is where they'll expand. And then, of course, there is the rumors out there about the Elon Musk tunnel that apparently people in Orlando have talked about is the kind of the business group down there has said is definitely being looked at. Which I don't know how I don't know how you build a tunnel in Florida. But
yeah, well, that's a very, very hard rumor there. Hard rumor.
It's just one I find interesting. I mean, I like the idea of connecting the two to make it feel more cohesive. Mm-hmm. And they'll probably look, if they don't do that tunnel, they'll look at something, I'm sure, to try and connect them beyond the roadways and things of that nature. But yeah, I mean, I think if, you're talking about going off the earnings report, that Epic, 2 quarters of 19%, revenue growth, I think that's a good start. And I think, as I've said many times, the weakest Epic is going to be is right now. And it's just going to continue to get stronger. And I think, for those that are wanting APs, as I am one of those as well, a lot of it's just going to depend on whatever headway they can make on the right operations in the short term. And can they add any, short-term turnaround type things in this park to help alleviate that?
Yep.
We'll see. I guess at the year mark is a good point to look at and see, like, where is it now compared to where it was a year ago, and kind of give you an idea of where that stands.
So I have a question though. It's about crowds for the holidays.
Okay.
So do you think, how do you think Epic is going to be around Christmas? Like the last 2 weeks of Christmas that are notoriously busy. Do you think that it'll pull some of the crowds away from Universal Studios Florida and Islands into Epic, and then Epic's just going to be a madhouse? Or what do you think?
I think Epic's going to be a madhouse. I really do.
How are they going to handle that? Because it's already...
I think a lot of the dates, at least on some of the ticket options, granted there's different ticket options, but some of them are already sold out.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing Celestial Park and Wizarding World, decking out for Christmas. Mm-hmm. I'm very curious what that looks like. I think that sounds awesome. And the Christmas time is a very busy time for theme parks now. So I think in general, Universal is going to be busy. Epic Universe is going to be busy.
I guess I just meant how much busier than normal, I guess.
Well, and that's the question. If they're already at their max, on most days, if they're already kind of at their maximum capacity that they're allowing, I guess the question would be, and they said in the earnings call that they're wanting to increase that capacity. Do they increase the capacity getting closer to Christmas? Which they'd have a lot of incentive to do because they'd make a lot more money. So potentially, if they do raise that cap, maybe closer to 20,000 guests or more per day, closer to Christmas, it could be, that would be a very busy park.
Yeah.
And those wait times would be very, very high.
Yeah. That's one thing I was just I bet you it's just going to be a madhouse. The only thing this year that's going to be different than years coming soon is the fact that there's no hopping to it yet. So it's just a one day situation
and like I said, there's a lot of levers in terms of Comcast as a company is pivoting more toward into theme parks as they lose on the broadband side. That's just shrinking constantly. So they're definitely pivoting more into the theme parks and needing those to make money. I suppose it's the balance of it all of trying to take a long view of Epic, because they could have opened the floodgates up and just had 40,000 people in this park. Made a bunch of money. They probably would have had 30 to 40% revenue growth if they would have done that. But they would have had a whole lot of negative feedback, which would hurt that park in the long run. So it's this balancing of they are actually holding back. They said as much in the earnings call to try and balance it with the guest satisfaction while they get this stuff worked out. I guess the real caveat would be if and when they can increase the capacity, is it because the park can handle it, or is it because they're trying to get more money out of the parks? And I suppose that would be the balancing act there. So I'm sure they have, I would assume at this point, they have all hands on deck trying to get everything here optimized and ironed out and fixed. And eventually, of course, adding attractions and rides and things to do in this park more. So I think that in the medium term, I suppose short term to medium term is where is their patience level, I guess you could say. If the park is not if they're just trying to push more people in here because they'll make more money. Because they also mentioned people are spending more money per guest that are coming to Universal now. A lot of it due to Epic because of Nintendo. Nintendo's almost a lifestyle brand at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people are going to buy stuff. So I think that's kind of where it's at there. But, you know, in the long run, this park is going to be, it is a great park. But in the long run, this park is going to operate as it should, as the other parks do. And, yeah. So,
Okay.
so a long answer to say, I think Christmas is going to be very busy.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But I still want this park open later. They still have not opened this park up late. There's still not a fireworks show. There's still not a parade. And next Christmas, I really hope they have Super Nintendo World decked out for Christmas like they do in Hollywood.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Do a parade in this park. Do a Christmas parade. Like there's so many things. If you really think about it, where it's at, and it has to be promising for Universal is, I guess you could say so many levers that they can pull to have even more people coming in and making more money is they still have so many aspects of a typical theme park experience that they haven't done yet. They're just now going to be adding in park hopping. There's still no AP options. There's no parade. There is no fireworks show. Like there's just, you know, they're not able to open that late. There's no after hours parties. Like there's a lot of things they could do here. And I think after hours parties are definitely one that they could utilize. If you were selling those for, you know, $150 a person to have.
That's like a day ticket though.
Well, what's Disney charge for after hours?
About that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But if the thing is less crowds and you basically can walk onto all these attractions, they would sell out.
Yeah.
And if they did that on different times, they themed those events. Like there's
and
a lot
if it
of
was at night, like late at night.
absolutely.
Too. Yeah.
And I think that would honestly, those would sell out.
I think you might be giving Universal some ideas here, bro.
I mean, I'm just saying. Surely they've had these ideas before, but
obviously.
But I mean, if you did an event like that, and like in the short term, if you can't push those crowds up, you don't feel comfortable there. There's a lot of things they can do to offer an experience at Epic that people would be willing to pay for. And eventually, once they get the park capacity worked out, like obviously everything's on the table at that point. So
okay.
But that's kind of where it stands going into 2026. But I want to see what the Christmas looks like. But eventually do like a New Year's Eve party. Mm-hmm. You know, do all the cool stuff.
The potential for what they are going to do in the next couple of years is really high because they haven't hit that yet. There's so much more coming.
By the way, do you think they will do some sort of like high-end experience at like Helios for New Year's? I feel like that is almost like tailor-made for that bar up there.
Oh my gosh, that would be the best, right?
I mean, Disney does it at the California Grill.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they would charge $200 easy,
if not more. Mm-hmm. I mean, Disney charges like what, $800 a person?
Is that from New Year's? It's $800.
I think it's something way up there, but it's like a themed thing. It's multiple hours.
For New Year's specifically.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure. I know it's pricey. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of things they can do, and like I said, you'll see them pull more of those levers in the next few years, and I don't know, it'd be exciting. I think my biggest question is this: when will they announce something new coming to it? Because they've teased that it's coming. So by teasing it, I'm like, I feel like surely you have to announce something within a few years of that, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
We're so impatient.
I know. We already opened, and you're like, give me more stuff. But they do have but there is a need with that park for more stuff. So
yeah. Oh, for sure.
All right. Well, that's basically all we wanted to talk about on the show was just the Epic tickets and a little update on all that stuff and where it stood. So didn't fit into last week's episode. Got into this one. So that is going to do it for the show. Before we go, to be sure to check us out on social media. We are at Captain Magic everywhere, including YouTube, where I do daily videos, many times talking about Epic Universe and entertainment, pop culture, all that stuff. So go check it out over there. And of course, if you want video versions of this show, go over to YouTube at CTM Podcast. You can check us out on there. We also have the Disney version of the show that we do every Thursday. You can check us out there. And then Jamie has Trip Tales, which is her trip report show. And what's the next one there?
It'll be two or 3 weeks. I can't remember which one it is, but I've got one coming out in November. If you want to be a guest on a future Trip Tales episode, please go to ctmtriptales.com and tell me all about your trip. And like I said, I will be having 2 in December, and then I'll go back to having 1 starting in 2026. So coming up on 100 episodes. Yay for me. Yay for Trip Tales.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yay for me.
Yay for me.
That's terrible.
That was Billy Madison.
That's terrible. I'm sorry.
Yay for school.
Yay for school. Yeah. So anyway, ctmtriptales.com.
Yes, go check that out. Mm-hmm. And if you like what we do around here and you want to support the show and help us, pay the internet bill and all that stuff, and you want some more content on top of it, You can look at joining Club 32, and that is our group where we have an additional content. Like I said, we have the Clubhouse, we have weekly live streams, we have a private Facebook group, we have a private podcast feed where all the content goes on there, as well as commercial-free or ad-free episodes of the show we put on there as well, because now there's some more ads running on the show, so if you want less ads, that is one way you can do that. We also have, like I said, the Facebook group's a great place to ask questions or just interact more with us and other people in the group. There's a lot of people that meet each other and become friends in there. We have meetups. You get 25% off of CTM apparel and 1901 Candle Company products, so it's a good benefit there. If you got Christmas presents coming up, you can get basically Black Friday year-round if you go check that out. And all sorts of good stuff there. So if you want to go join there, you can go to ctmvip.com. We have monthly or yearly options. If you do the yearly, you save a little bit of money and you get a free t-shirt on top of that. So you can get a little money and something for free in return there. So again, if you'd like to join, we'd love to have you. We greatly appreciate our Club 32 members. And if you'd like to join, again, at ctmvip.com. And hopefully we'll see you there. So, all right, well, that's going to do it for the show. So thank you, everybody, for listening and or watching. And thank you, Jamie, for joining us.
Thank you.
And as Jamie always likes to say,
We will see you in the parks.
bye.